We are very pleased to welcome you today for this conference on the future of European taxation in a global context. Actually, you must have noticed when going through the program of the day that this wording is more concentrated, as a matter of fact, on the corporate tax in the international context, and more particularly to the ideas and proposals which are related to the introduction of a common consolidated tax base in the European Union. This conference will bring together during the day a very impressive number of experts in tax matters coming from all horizons, business world, specialized consulting firms, national administrations, of course, European institutions and the OECD. We will also benefit from the presence and the contribution of important political actors, in particular in the European Parliament, and I'm very pleased to see that Alain Lamassoure will join us today. I think we all are also very anxious to listen to Pierre Moscovici, who will close this day of work together. This conference comes at an important juncture. As I say, the European Commission has made new proposals to the Council of Ministers and to the European Parliament in order, and I quote, to overhaul the way in which companies are taxed in the single market, delivering a growth-friendly and fair corporate system. It also comes at a time where uncertainty prevails regarding the effects of the recent US tax reform. I'm not an expert in taxation matters, and therefore I will refrain from entering into details of the proposals. But at the same time, I cannot hide that in another life, when I was Director General for Budget in the European Commission, I felt very, very much attracted by the CCTB. Not only because I considered that this was absolutely necessary to ensure fair competition inside the internal market, but because I thought that it met a large number of criteria to become, at the time, a new own resource for the financing of the European budget, which is by far too dependent on national budgetary contributions. But it is another debate, and certainly an important one as well, very important one, but it's not today's debate. On today's debate, I would like to make just one point. The idea of harmonizing corporate taxation is not something recent. The first proposal was made in 1975. And as a veteran of European integration, I remember the debates which surrounded this matter as part of the internal market strategy in 1988. There was an economic, a technical, I would say a mechanical logic to promote the harmonization of the corporate tax. And this was still well described and at the root of the 2011 proposals. And I quote the press communique, which I found on the internet again. The proposal was to significantly reduce the administrative burden, compliance costs, and legal uncertainties that business in the EU currently face in having to comply with up to, at the time, 27 different national systems for determining their taxable profits. As we all know, progress was achieved, but it was not possible to reach the necessary unanimity in the Council to find an agreement. Today, we are faced with a much bigger challenge. The complexity is still with us. But we also face the situation where tax avoidance has now reached unprecedented levels and triggers very strong reactions from the civil society levels. And the digitalization of our societies and economies creates huge tax challenges. The package which the European Commission has put on the table attempts to offer solutions to this new situation in two major respects. First, by allowing companies established in the EU not only to benefit from the advantages of the single market through a set of simplified and uniform rules and provisions, and to benefit also of a more efficient dispute settlement on double taxation, but also by introducing measures aiming at supporting innovation and establishing a stronger capital base, which are fundamental elements for a growth-friendly future. Second, by contributing to the fight against tax avoidance, which is a result of the abusive tax behaviors built upon the existing tax divergences and loopholes inside the EU and between the EU and its international partners. In this context, the digitalization of our economies raises very challenging questions and calls for a deep renewal of our tax systems at European level, but also at international level, as shown in the OECD interim report on tax changes arising from digitalization. Therefore, today, for me, what is on the table is an economic program with a real potential for the European economy. A program that will make life simpler and procedures less heavy, and that will put in place tax systems and disciplines which will in particular seriously reduce the negative impact on our economies of those abusive strategies, for example, in the digital sector. When discussing these proposals in the Council, this is what I would call national systems and bureaucrats will have to keep in mind. It is not something about power struggle between bureaucracies. It is about competitiveness, the future of our economies and tomorrow's employment in Europe. Citizens, I think, would not understand that Europe would not be able to be united and could leave such behaviors continue over the next years to their detriment in the economic and social sphere. For me, this is the type of achievement which makes Europe function in the eyes of citizens and which gives them more confidence in what Europe can do for them. This is why at Confrontations Europe, and I just want to recall that we are a non-partisan association bringing together numerous European and economic and social actors, we believe that open discussions that we will have today will be extremely useful to pass the appropriate and necessary messages to decision makers in the Council, in the European Parliament, and at the level of member states. I thank you again for your presence here, and I wish all of us a very good day of work. Thank you.